Welcome to this episode of Smart Leaders Sell. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm joined today by one of my amazing dotties, the wonderful Alessia Pandolfi, which has got to be the best name on the internet. I mean, that is a jazzy name, Alessia.
Wow, thank you.
I'm really excited that you're here. So for me, we met, what was it? Oh gosh, a year and a half ago?
It was November 2016 when I joined the Dotties, and I had ended up in the group maybe in July.
Yeah. So it's like it's a year and a half. I feel like we're celebrating a relationship milestone here, which is phenomenal. So you joined my community and you joined the free community, and now obviously you're a dotty and you're a huge, huge part of that. And you are the technical whiz behind some of the coolest campaigns that we see on the internet. You are somebody who's working behind the scenes, producing webinars. You're somebody who's working with ClickFunnels. You are all over technology like the proverbial rash in the nicest way. But also you speak a ridiculous amount of languages. You're fluent in how many languages now?
Four. Yeah, four.
That's crazy.
Okay, included Italian, which is my mother tongue, but yeah, 4.
That's amazing, isn't it? And here's me, I struggle with English. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, English, it's probably the most spoken language, so
yeah, I think
you start with an advantage.
Well, there is that. And I think, I often pick up other bits and bobs as and when. Learned some Flemish when we went to Belgium, which was great. Can't remember any of it right now, but in time it will come to me, and I will finally learn something like Spanish fluently. That would be great. So tell people what you really do, because obviously I see you as the behind the scenes kind of secret weapon that most service-based business owners are using to make sure that ultimately their businesses are fully functioning and automated all the time. But what is it that you feel like you do on a day-to-day?
Yeah, you summarize it pretty well. But yeah, basically what I do for my clients is just to take care of their backend and the techie bits of their online businesses, so that not only their businesses, but also their prospect and their clients, they have a pleasant journey, so that everything works smoothly from the very beginning, say from opting for a webinar until selling something to the buyer. So the whole journey, and making sure that the journey of the lead is as smooth and as pleasant as possible. So then I obviously work with, for example, email marketing automations, but then up to bigger projects like telesummits. Yeah. So that I actually worked on 2 telesummits in the past 6 months, and I basically built the whole skeleton, the whole structure of the telesummit from the techie point of view. And that has been like really huge, but really great work.
It's huge, isn't it? I mean, I often say to people, because people come to me and they want to scale their business and they want to run an automated business. And I'm always asking about what they know in terms of technology and how good they are with technology. Because honestly, I am so technologically challenged. Without the people who do focus on the back end of my business, there are lots of things that just wouldn't happen, because we all want our customer experience to be smooth. It's not like we want somebody to go to our website and struggle to opt into something. It's not like we want them to then go into some random email sequence and not be receiving things. We want deliverability rates to be high. We want them to be able to click on hyperlinks in the email. We want things to tag them, to segment them, and all that kind of thing. And that's just on a basic funnel, and I think what we're seeing is this rise of internet marketing and the kind of strategy behind it is that everyone should do a telesummit, or everyone should do, a huge automated webinar or an evergreen webinar. And those things are fantastic. But if you are not techie, it can take you a lot of time, and actually it can pose an awful lot of problems.
Definitely. I mean, on one side, I'm also a bit lucky because I've been quite well versed with technology. So for me, it's easy to understand how all the bits work and how to put them all together. But For some people, it's just way too complicated. And I understand that sometimes there comes up like a silly problem, but it may look like a mountain, like a huge obstacle. And I know how long it takes to try to figure it out when you're frustrated because stuff doesn't work and you're under pressure. And because maybe, I don't know, you're about to run a webinar and there is some tech fail. And if you don't have a plan B, or if you don't have the knowledge so that you can have a plan B and make sure that everyone gets that message, then it just a huge tech fail, because you need to know what you're doing. And if you don't know, you just risk to just bail it completely, just destroy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I've I've been on the receiving end of tech issues. I don't think there are any tech issues that I haven't disclosed, but I think the most famous one was when I decided to hold a webinar. I'd bought into the kind of guru speak of let's all do webinars. And to be fair, I'd been using webinars in my business, but this was a big one. I'd driven a ton of traffic there. I was really excited. And I held the webinar. And for an hour, I spoke into my microphone, which was turned off. It was completely silent. So none of the attendees on my webinar could actually hear anything that I was saying. So kudos to my slides, which apparently were great, because we actually had people go through, they followed through the slides right until the very end. And weirdly, nobody typed in the chat box to tell me they couldn't hear me either. And we had people buy. From that webinar. But had it been tested properly, and afterwards I was completely mortified because it was such a simple thing that I could have prevented. And so, even now when I'm running a webinar, I've got a Post-it note on my laptop that just says, is my microphone switched on? Is it near enough to my mouth? Can people hear me? So I think, with the rise in technology, it gives us tons of ways to reach people, tons of ways to generate more leads, but can also be very, very scary because it does leave us open to errors that we wouldn't necessarily face on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm a great fan of always having a plan B. So when there is something like, especially something big or a big project coming up, then it's always a good idea, first of all, to test multiple times, test for, I don't know, if it's a webinar, just test from different browsers, even from your mobile. But it's just a good idea to test and then just have a plan B. So
absolutely.
Those are the two most important things, that even if I'm not working with someone and they're running and holding their webinars on their own, I've got to ask some questions on what are the best tips beside having like a presentation and, making things nice. Just be sure you test and you have a plan B if something happens, because tech fails happen like every day, all the time, and you can't foresee if the tech gremlins attack in the middle of your webinar or your telesummit, whatever you're running live. So if you're prepared and if you know what to do, then it's just easier. Absolutely.
So tell me, what is your big question for today? Because you've brought, despite being the tech goddess, you've brought a juicy kind of question to the fore around business changes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and my question is about rebranding. So I would like to know, what are the most important elements when someone goes through a rebranding? So what should I keep in mind when I'm refreshing my offers and to make them coherent with my new direction? And the reason being is that I started out as a VA and then I transitioned to online business strategist and tech expert. So it's, on one side, I'm still doing some of the things I did as a VA, but some aspects and some offers have changed completely.
Yeah.
I'm a bit struggling on how to handle that.
Okay. So I think the first thing is that rebranding is something that's totally normal. And in all honesty, most people will go through a rebrand every 6 to 12 months throughout their business. I was talking to somebody about it yesterday and I was just saying, I think I've been through about 4. Not every single one will involve full color changes or website changes or anything like that. But as you grow and evolve, so does your business. So, your offers will change. The things that you've learned will change, and that will affect what you want to sell to other people and the kinds of impact you want to make for them. The way that I always think about it when I'm rebranding is I look at, what do I currently enjoy? Is there anything that I currently enjoy doing and that I don't want to change my business? So services or products that I like. I've had, for example, the same sales scripts in my business for 3 years running because they work, and because the trainings work, and because they are consistently the best resource for people in my audience to learn how to run and manage a sales call that gets a yes much more frequently. But there are offers that I discontinued because, quite honestly, I just didn't want to do them anymore. One-on-one coaching was one of those things. I retired from one-on-one, or semi-retired from one-on-one coaching in September 2016 because I didn't enjoy sitting on the phone with people every week for 3 months. So the first thing when you rebrand is looking at, what do I still enjoy? And am I going to keep that in its current format, or am I going to change it in any way? Am I going to update it, change the price, change the look of it if it's a passive product, or anything about who it's targeted towards based on what I've learned over the last X amount of time of running it with people? Because sometimes we take on clients into programs and actually they're not the right fit. We only learn that as they're going through and we're having to do more work. The second thing you want to be looking at when you're rebranding is, obviously, you've just mentioned there, your title. So you went from being a VA, so virtual assistant, to an online business strategist and tech expert. That fits much better with what you're doing now, or with what you want to do. So the bigger project work, it establishes you as somebody who's more tech savvy. It's really focusing as well on who your ideal clients are, because your newbie business owner is going to want a VA to do 10, 20 hours a month. You're looking for people who are undergoing or about to start big project work, telesummits, giveaways, automation, funnels, that kind of thing. And that's going to be a more experienced business owner or somebody who has more disposable income. So titles are not necessarily important. People ultimately buy from people, but it is going to make your life easier if people know what you're going to do or what you're going to help them with. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And actually the title, in a way, it's something I notice it can be a bit challenging with previous buyers. So I just yesterday morning contacted some of the previous buyers, because with some of them I had some interesting projects. So I want just to see if there would be something else that we could work together. And with some of them, I just wanted to let them know of my new direction, because obviously we were working together when I called myself a VA. And I have to say that I got a couple of answers. They sounded a bit confused at the change of title, even though I told them that I was still carrying on the same thing I was doing for them. It was related to email marketing stuff, but they still got a bit confused with the change of a name.
Yeah. I think it can be quite easy for clients to self-identify. When you change a name, they need to understand that, the services that you are providing for them either still exist or are changing. And part of a rebrand ultimately is going out to your existing clients and just saying, look, this is what I'm doing, and keeping them in the loop, communicating really well with them what the changes mean for them. Are their prices going to change? If so, when? Are you still going to be offering the same services? If not, when will you finish those? When do they need to have somebody else hired by? And are you going to help with the handover? So communication is a really big part of rebranding, because if people just suddenly out of the blue see that new title, they can be a bit freaked out and they think, oh, Alessia doesn't just want my tiny little email projects anymore, or she doesn't just want these, she only wants the big things, when in reality that's not true. You still want people on retainer, you still want to be working with those clients. So communication for that is going to be key. I think as well, market research is a big thing when we rebrand. And I've made this mistake a couple of times where I've pivoted or I've rebranded and I've looked at only what I want to do. okay, what do I want to sell? What services do I want to provide? What do I think is most necessary for my audience to be learning now? In actual fact, I'm still not the most important person in the process. My ideal clients are. And so part of rebranding and making sure that your rebrand is effective before you go and change your website and get all of that stuff done and write your copy is going out and finding these new ideal clients and asking them what they want. I know you've been doing some of that in the dossiers with your new opt-in and things like that. So that's really exciting, but most people don't. And then what happens is we find that they slip back into well, I've built it, so they're going to come mentality. And that isn't the case. Ultimately, if we don't speak the same language as our ideal clients, they're not going to buy from us because they can't see how it would benefit them. So part of it is going to be about going out, making sure that market research is done, and then using the same language that your ideal clients are using on your new sales pages, on your website, really digging into the pain points that they have, because the pain points that your new ideal client will have, an experienced business owner who is making headway with automation and who is going to run large projects, it's going to be very different to somebody who is setting up their first ever lead magnet. You're going to find that the planning is very different, that the style is very different, that their cash flow is very different. And so doing that market research is going to be key to make sure that you've got the right sales pages, that you've got the right opt-in, that you're hooking the right people. Because sometimes when we rebrand, we have this kind of awkward period between we're booked with clients from our old ideal client base, and then we have this gray period where those clients are finishing up and we need to get new clients who are of the new ideal client base. And sometimes when they don't come straight away, it can be really tempting to fall back to that old ideal client base and go, okay, well, this just didn't work. I gave it 2 days and it didn't work. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to get all of those clients, right? I don't know whether anyone else ever feels like that, but I definitely have. And in actual fact, it's just because our copy isn't speaking to them. We didn't do the right market research, and perhaps we're putting out offers that just aren't hitting the spot for those people.
Yeah. And actually, that's in a way also what happened, because when I was doing the planning, then what was it, December, I mapped out all the new offers. And I didn't do the market research. So I did this exact thing. So I was like, okay, I like to do this and I can offer this. Then just yesterday, I go and check the results of the market research that I put out, what was it, a couple of days ago. And I found that, okay, I am in the right direction. But I think maybe I was just lucky. So the answers I got, they are matching with my offers.
Perfect.
But I mean, this is great, and I'm really grateful of that. But now I understand that I was a bit lucky. I have to say, yeah, I was indeed lucky, because it really, I don't think in another situation it would have matched. And now I really learned that before mapping out the new offers, I really need to do the market research and see if I'm going into the right direction.
Exactly. And that only stands you in good stead, because then that is those kinds of elements. So the market research, the making sure that you've communicated effectively with your previous clients, that sets you in good stead for moving forward and selling steadily with your new ideal client base. So once the rebrand, and we're talking here about once you've got your new offers mapped out, once you've got your new opt-in set up and you are feeling confident and ready to sell, that's when you can go and have a head start in the market, because ultimately it's your job at that point, once that rebrand, that process has finished in your business, is to go out and take it out into the world. It's to become more visible, making sure that your new visibility reflects the stuff, the work that you've done with the rebrand. So, if you are somebody who interacts primarily on the Facebook business page, doing the Facebook Lives on there, talking about what your new role is, giving people an idea of what you're going to be covering now, what kind of trainings can they expect from you, what kind of value, how often, okay? And then it's looking at, how are you publicizing anything else that's happening in your business? As a result of expanding yourself, does that mean you're hiring a team? If it does, how are you planning on introducing that team to your community? What are they known for? What are their job roles? What can people get in touch with them for? Are you being visible on other platforms to announce the rebrand? So like now you're on the podcast, right? You're putting yourself out there in front of the 2,000 listeners that we have a month. It's about going out and doing more of that. Announcing it to your warm network first, absolutely. Your own Facebook group, business page, email list, all of that. But also then going out and getting maximum visibility, because otherwise, what was the point in rebranding, or pivoting? We have to tell people about the change, because your job now is to fill your audience with ideal clients for this new pivot and then to sell to them.
Yeah. And actually, this is, I don't know if 1 year ago or even just 6 months ago, I don't know if I would have been brave enough to be on a podcast. Because I'm a really, really huge introvert. But what I decided last year is that visibility would be my word of the year 2018. Because the truth is that last year, and since I began in 2016, I was invisible. Honestly, I was invisible. I was getting clients, but it was more of a referrals and word of mouth, and it worked really well. But now that I'm going towards this new direction, I need to step out even more. Yeah. So in a way, it's scary, but it's also quite exciting.
And I think you have to do it in the way that works for you. I remember, what are we talking? 8 months ago now, I think it is. You came to the Dotties meetup. We did a membership meetup in London in September 2017, and you flew from Finland. You are our furthest guest, right? You flew from Finland to London at stupid o'clock in the morning and came and you did that. And I remember how big a deal that was for you, and you've come so far to now be on podcasts. You were recently on an episode of another Dottie. She does a live show every Friday called Friday Friends. You're doing those things. And I think it really is about finding the way that works for you and doing the best kind of traffic generation that you can, and you can do that two ways. You can do it organically. You can guest blog, you can go on podcasts, you can get PR, you can use your warm network, ask for referrals, that kind of thing. Or you can go down the paid traffic route. Personally, for where you are in business, I'd recommend you do it organically, because you already have a source of clients who are looking to up-level themselves and who have other people in their peer group and network that they can be referring you to, and that they can say, Alessia was my VA, now she's an online business strategist and tech expert. If you're running a giveaway, if you're running a competition or building a funnel, you really need to speak to her, because that's what she does. So you already have that warm network that you can tap into for new traffic generation, and then do the bits that are going to extend that, and get more cold traffic, like the podcast, the guest blogging, participating in videos, and also doing things, traffic generation activities of your own, like telesummits, like webinars, like competitions, because that also shows people if you're doing them, the ins and outs, the problems, the pitfalls, and you've used them, or you are using them successfully in your business. So of course you're going to be able to help them in theirs.
Yeah, and I also, it's been in my mind for some time already that I have always, in a way, repelled the local networking, but I think it has just always been in my mind because, I live in Finland, but I'm Italian, and I don't speak any Finnish, not yet at least, probably never. But there are quite many networking groups in here. Most of them are in Finnish, but I recently found out a couple of groups English speaking. So that's also something that I want to explore and see how it goes, because I don't think there are, at least when I went last year to those networking events, I couldn't really meet anyone that was doing the same things I do. So yeah, recently it's been a bit in my mind to explore the local business activities as well.
And that's something you should be doing. Ultimately, I think as online entrepreneurs, sometimes we get really stuck and we assume that the only people we can help are other online entrepreneurs, and the reality is that's not the case. I help a lot of offline entrepreneurs who want the same sales strategies that online people are using or who want to move parts of their businesses online. But if I didn't go out into the wide world, I'd never know about it. So it definitely is worth doing your local networking. It's worth attending events where your ideal clients are hanging out. Last year, obviously, I went to Upreneur and I told everyone how incredible that was. And I'd highly recommend it. It's a room full of your target market, so you want to be attending things like that so that you can network, so that you can grow this in-person, face-to-face network or build on the relationships that you've already built online and really solidify them. Yeah. Does that all help?
Absolutely. And now, okay, in a way, I couldn't really make it anyway, but I'm really regretting I'm not coming to the event on Saturday.
Don't worry. You've got a virtual ticket though, right? You're attending this virtually, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. I'm excited / terrified because, the tech has the propensity to go very wrong. Yeah. So who knows how that one's going to work out, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a great day. And I think the good thing about it, and the bit that I'm probably most concerned about it, if I'm honest, is that nobody else has done a virtual attendee live of a live event. So I'm like, I could be leading an industry curve here, but also that's quite a challenging place to be because, it could all go horrifically wrong, in which case I would not advise that anyone else does it. But, we'll talk about it on the podcast when it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm sure it will be absolutely great. And I think it's a brilliant idea to have the live stream because, there are people like me who simply couldn't make it, at least not this time. And it's great still to be able to not only to catch the live stream, but also the networking bits in between. I think that's really great.
I think it's funny. Technology has changed lives and it really has expanded our worlds, and that was the biggest thing for me when I looked at hosting the event and whether or not we could get a virtual one at the same time. It made absolute sense to me because, during the networking sessions, the people who are attending virtually will be networking virtually. And during the speaker sessions and the Q&As, the people who are attending virtually will still be able to ask questions. We'll still be able to get them live. Technology has been a huge part of that. Does it mean that I'm not worried about a tech fail on the day? Absolutely not. I'm kind of expecting one. And I'm just hoping that it happens during my talk because that can always be repeated.
But I'm sure it will be absolutely great. And yeah, like you say, what was it? On Monday? Yeah, on Monday, I attended the online networking event and it was really amazing. It was, okay, we weren't really a lot, but that's a good thing online because we all had time to talk and introduce ourselves and to chat with each other. So it was really nice. And I think it's great, but at the same time, yeah, it's always a good idea to go in outside in the real world and network locally. What I felt lately is that I ended up being too much inside. Okay, obviously it may be because outside it's -15 and it's snowing. I need a bit of real life outside from my home office or the library.
Absolutely. And I think that's huge, especially during a rebrand and pivot. We need to connect with other people. We need to bounce ideas off of other people. We need to see other people. I think that's really, really important. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to see you virtually on Saturday.
Yes.
Can't wait. So tell me, where can people find you if they have been going through this and thinking, actually, I am about to embark on my first, third, 30th telesummit, giveaway, competition, ClickFunnels nightmare. Where can they find you?
The best way to find me is my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Alessia Pandolfi OBS. And yeah, that's the best way to find me. It's where I go live every week, and my website is still under maintenance, so it's better to head over Facebook.
Perfect. Well, I'm really, really excited to see the new website. I know that in the Dotties, we are getting the sneak preview, so I'm very, very excited for that to go live. And in the meantime, obviously, if you do want to connect with Alessia, please make sure you head over to her Facebook page. The link for that is in the show notes. And I will see you on Monday for the big reveal of the event episode. See you then.